Newly released emails related to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein have laid bare the extent of his relationships with several high-profile figures.
Peter Mandelson, Lord Mandelson, his career now lies in tatters, and I think tonight prison looms as well.
The former British ambassador to the U.S., Peter Mandelson, has resigned from the House of Lords over his links to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
July 22nd, 2009. 8:37 a.m. Jeffrey Epstein picks up his phone and sends a 2-word email, free and home. He had just been released from a Florida jail after serving 13 months of an 18-month sentence for soliciting prostitution from a minor. The reply comes back almost immediately. How shall we celebrate? The man who sent that reply was not an old friend who didn't know what had happened. He was not someone unaware of the conviction. He was Britain's business secretary, one of the most powerful figures in the British government at the time, a man with access to the cabinet, the treasury, and the prime minister's internal communications. His name was Peter Mandelson. 2 months earlier, while Epstein was still in jail, Mandelson had forwarded him an internal memo that had originally been sent to the prime minister. The subject line was simple: business issues. Inside were confidential policy recommendations about the British economy, including discussions about which government assets might be sold. Epstein responded with a question: what saleable assets? Mandelson replied: land, property, I guess. So on the very morning Epstein walked out of jail, Britain's business secretary was asking how to celebrate. Years later, the emails documenting this relationship would become public. Soon after, police would arrive at Mandelson's home, and the story would begin to unravel. In British politics, there are politicians, and then there are the people who make politicians. Mandelson was one of those people. Born in 1953, he came from a powerful political family. His grandfather was a major figure in the Labour Party government of the post-war era. Politics surrounded him from the beginning, but what made Mandelson powerful was not simply his connections. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, he helped design a project that would completely reshape the Labour Party. Tony Blair became the public face of the movement, but behind the scenes, Mandelson was the strategist, controlling messaging, branding, and discipline within the party. When Labour won a landslide victory in 1997, Blair became Prime Minister, and Mandelson entered the cabinet. Over the following years, he resigned twice due to controversies. Twice, he returned. In British politics, people often joked that he had more lives than a cat. Later, he moved to Brussels, serving as the European Union's Trade Commissioner, one of the most powerful unelected roles in Europe. Then, in 2008, he returned again to British politics. Prime Minister Gordon Brown appointed him business secretary and gave him a seat in the House of Lords. By that point, Mandelson had become one of the most connected political figures in Britain, and he had already been friends with Jeffrey Epstein for several years. The public already knew that Mandelson had met Epstein. At one point, he had even stayed at Epstein's Manhattan residence. But the true nature of their relationship became clearer years later. A birthday book created for Epstein's 50th birthday included messages from powerful figures across politics and business. Among those messages was an entry from Peter Mandelson. In it, he referred to Epstein as his best pal. At the time, Mandelson was a sitting member of parliament. Epstein had not yet been convicted of crimes, but the description raised serious questions about how close the two men were. When the document later surfaced, Mandelson said he regretted ever being introduced to Epstein, but then more emails began to surface. Messages from 2009 showed the two men joking with each other while Epstein was still serving his prison sentence. Mandelson replied with enthusiasm, "How shall we celebrate?" Epstein responded jokingly that they would celebrate with grace and modesty, which he described as the names of two strippers. Mandelson replied with 2 words: naughty boy. A senior government minister speaking that way to a convicted sex offender. When those emails became public, the political fallout was immediate. Financial records later revealed several transfers from accounts connected to Epstein to accounts linked to Mandelson. 3 separate payments of $25,000 were sent over the course of 2 years. Some of the money went into accounts where Mandelson was listed as a beneficiary. Another payment was sent to an account belonging to Mandelson's partner. Later, shortly after Epstein's release from prison, an additional transfer helped fund a training course. Mandelson later said he had no recollection of these payments and questioned the authenticity of the documents. But the transactions raised a serious question. During the period those transfers occurred, Mandelson held government positions, and no financial relationship with Epstein had been officially declared. This is the part of the story that eventually drew the attention of investigators. While serving as business secretary, Mandelson appeared to have shared confidential information with Epstein, information that could potentially influence financial markets. One example involved an internal memo about the British economy during the financial crisis. The memo discussed the possibility of selling government assets to raise funds. Mandelson forwarded the document to Epstein. Another exchange involved a proposed tax on banker bonuses. Epstein emailed Mandelson asking whether the tax might apply only to certain types of bonuses. Mandelson replied that he was attempting to change the policy and was on the case. In another case, Epstein helped arrange a meeting involving major bankers and senior British officials. Soon afterward, the British government approved the sale. Perhaps the most serious moment came during the European financial crisis. European leaders were preparing to announce a massive financial rescue package for struggling economies. Before the announcement became public, Epstein emailed Mandelson asking whether the bailout was about to happen. Mandelson responded that it would likely be announced that very night. The announcement came hours later, meaning Epstein appeared to have advanced knowledge of one of the most significant financial events in Europe at the time. Then came an email that shocked investigators even further. In 2010, Mandelson wrote to Epstein from Greece. He told Epstein that he had found a place where he could stay along the Italian coast. The property was described as private and secluded. Mandelson mentioned that the location included extra rooms that would provide privacy. The word guests appeared in quotation marks. The message was sent not long after Epstein had completed house arrest related to his criminal conviction. There is no evidence Epstein ever visited the property. 2 years later, Epstein complained that their relationship had become one-sided. Mandelson replied that during Epstein's trials and tribulations, he had never left his side. He had always offered advice and support. The collapse of Mandelson's career happened quickly. After decades at the center of British politics, everything began unraveling within a single year. Questions about his connection to Epstein intensified. Political pressure grew. More documents emerged. Eventually, police opened an investigation into whether confidential government information had been improperly shared. Investigators searched properties connected to Mandelson. He was arrested and later released on bail while the investigation continued. His lawyers said he was cooperating fully and intended to clear his name, but the case had already shaken the political establishment. The investigation is still unfolding. Authorities are examining financial records, email communications, and testimony from senior political figures. Did Epstein use any of the information he received to make financial trades? What financial interests did he have in the deals discussed with Mandelson? And what exactly did Mandelson share through private communications? At multiple points over the years, Mandelson could have ended the relationship, but he didn't. In his own words, he said he never left Epstein's side. Now investigators are trying to determine what that loyalty ultimately cost.